So, I guess the rule is, if you wake up in the morning and you realize that you had a dream that had both Victor and Hikosaemon in it, it's time to make a video because you've been watching too many other videos and you need to respond. Hey everybody, this is Chill in Kansai. So this is going to be the first of a set of shows. We'll see how it goes. Basically, it's a vlogging thing, or vlogging, however you want to approach it or talk about it. Basically, I want to talk about, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and mostly a lot of Hikosaemon and Gimmeabreakman, Victor, and Tino a little bit. Just started picking up a bunch of stuff off of his channel, and there's a couple of things that listening to the Tokyo podcast and stuff like that, and there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about as well. There's a lot of different types of vloggers in Japan, and there's a lot that are interesting, and but a lot of people deal with the new stuff, and that's great. And there are a lot of people that can do that well, and that's fine. And I may do a little bit of that later on. You know, what to expect when you first get to Japan, etc., etc. But I'm not first in Japan. I mean, it's been a long time. I've been here for a few years now. A little over 10 years. I have permanent residency. And lately it seems like there's been a lot of discussions about you know, what is Japan? What do you know, what kind of things are you going to experience working in Japan and stuff like that? So I don't work at an eikaiwa, so I'm not really going to address any of those issues. That's kind of the beginner's spot, right? That's where a lot of people come into Japan and start, or, you know, as a ryugakusei or whatever. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to address is going to address that, but not directly. It's much more tangentially, because the first, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in Japan are a really different experience than what you are doing after that, right? So the second 7 years is much... You're here at that point, right? You've obviously made a decision. You're going to be in Japan for a long time, and you're dealing with the country and the people and the job and the life in a different way than somebody who's been here for 3 years. Now, that's not to say that people who have been here for 3 years or you know, 2 years or whatever are not experiencing some of the same things, but in general, it's not the same animal, right? It's qualitatively different. A lot of things are the same, but there are enough things that are different that it deserves talking about. Because generally, these are the people like myself and Victor and Tino and Hikosaemon that have decided, this is where I'm going to be. I love Japan. I love being here. And a lot of people deal with the stuff that comes along with living in Japan differently, and so this is going to be my point of view on it, and it will be based on my experiences and the way I think about it and view it, and it's going to be a little bit warts and all to a degree. I've learned a lot about living here since I've been here. And there's a couple of things I want to touch on, and it feels like a lot of the stuff actually is kind of responses to Hikosaemon's stuff, primarily just because I've been seeing a lot of videos with him in it lately. But it's not just that, because I know there's a lot of there's a wide variety. There's a wide range of experiences around stuff. I mean, Victor's got a totally different experience in Japan than I do. Tino has a totally different experience of Japan than I do. And Hikosaemon definitely has a totally different experience from Japan than I do. Yeah, name dropping. Yay. So one of the things, though, I will be asking questions for those guys and for, you know, anybody else who wants to chime in. So leave comments down in the doobly-doo, and we'll see if we can get this conversation rolling. Let me first start out with, you know, I love Japan. I love it. I love living here. I love working here. The greatest thing about this place is there's nothing that's easy. Everything is a challenge. It's fun. It keeps you on your toes, and you never know what you're going to run into day to day. After you get here for a while, you can control it a little bit better as far as, you know, what you're experiencing, difficulties, and etc. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Even if I stay at home all day, I still run into stuff that it's like, meh, didn't see that coming, or, you know, don't know how to fix it immediately, but, you know, do a little work and take a look and figure it out. This video, I want to address one of the things that Hikosaemon had said. Hold on just a second. Nice cut, right? I want to address one of the things that Hikosaemon had said about weight on the Tokyo podcast, this last episode of the Tokyo podcast. Anthony Joe, great podcast. Please check it out. I'll try to drop a link in the bottom and a link directly to the Hikosaemon episode. Anyway, he was talking about weight and the fact that, you know, one of the New Year's greetings for Japan kind of seems to be, oh, you've put on weight, and as an acceptable thing. And I don't actually have an issue with that so much, because it does happen. It's fine. But I think there is something in aspect, because this happened to me. Yeah, I'm not a small dude, so it happened to me, and I wanted to address one aspect of it that I don't think was addressed in the podcast. The thing that, you know, okay, so culturally, yeah, you don't say that to, in my culture in the U.S. we don't say that. People do, but again, in the U.S., everything that you're going to run into the exception, right? My friends would say that to me, and then I'd smack him in the head, and, you know, we'd have a little fight. I'd call him fat, he'd call me fat, whatever. But it's also understood that it was, you know, out of there's a respect there. It goes back to that idea of, we're going to have this conversation, and nothing in it is meant to take offense to. I do have Japanese friends like that, and that's fine if they say that. The problem that I had, where it cheesed me off quite a bit, I can't believe I said that. Anyway, it irritated me, was a random dude from work who I have no relationship with said that. And I think that that was one of the things in the explanation that wasn't stated. It is common in Japan to say that, to hear it between two people who are kind of, you know, friends, slightly better than acquaintances. They have an established relationship. But the guy who said it to me and I didn't have an established relationship. And so I did take offense to it. And it was mostly because of where that put me in his view of where we stood, right? So this is a senpai kohai type of situation. Yes, he was older than me, but I've been at the workplace longer than him. So I did kind of take offense. I didn't do anything about it at the time. I did think about it, and I do have a set repertoire for if it comes up again. But the fact that he said that to me doesn't have anything to do with Japanese culture says it's okay to say people are fat. You either don't know anybody, you either have no relationship with a person and they say that, and it's a public thing and they're trying to be funny, or they're trying to, you know, whatever, or they don't know you at all. There's no relationship. Or there is a tiered relationship, right? Because in a tiered relationship, here, that comment only goes downhill, right? As far as I can tell, because if I walked up to my boss, the feeling that I have, if I walked up to my boss and said, "Hey, you put on a couple pounds over the break. How you doing there, Tubby?" I don't think that would go over very well. And I think that is an aspect of that type of back and forth that is important to the conversation. And the problem, you know, even having the conversation to a certain extent is there's always situations, right? It's always, you know, this situation, this can happen, in this situation it can't. And so it's kind of an issue. It's difficult to talk about generalities. And so in my situation, I basically just let it go, because I let it go. I didn't want to deal with it. It would started bigger problems than it would have solved. So, you know, yeah, cute. And kind of gave him a dirty look and let it go. And quite honestly, if he doesn't ever talk to me again, I'm okay with that. It's not a problem. There's lots of people around to talk to, and I don't need that particular dude to talk to me. So, so this is the kind of things that I'm talking about. It's a subtle, it's a nuanced approach to, you know, what Japanese culture is, and what's okay here and what's okay here. We'll get into, or I will get into, talking a little bit about, you know, the racism and the gaijin versus gaikokujin. And I'm going to try to stop doing this. Right. And I'll talk about that stuff a little bit, but those are big issues that we can talk about, but there's never going to be a solution. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things that do need to be discussed. Some of it will be a little uncomfortable for both sides of the table, as it were. Yeah, we'll see where it goes, and you'll get my take on it, and I'll probably do some response videos to some fairly old videos by the gentleman that I've mentioned. Just because there's stuff in there, there's good stuff in there that needs to be talked about, and hey, that's what YouTube's for, right? So I keep tilting over to try to be exactly in front of the camera, but I have it framed so that this is the way it's supposed to be. Technology, wonderful stuff. Hopefully the huge wind blowing outside and the children running around are not too loud, but the sound still turns out okay. But we'll see. This is Scott. The show is Chill in Kansai. I do run another show called Boarding in Japan, but since it's not wintertime anymore, Boarding in Japan will be on hiatus until either I find somebody to talk about surfing or skateboarding, or until winter sets in again. So for those of you who, both of you who watched the Boarding in Japan videos, next year I'm not going to lose the camera on the first day. I hope. For everybody else, comments down below. I'll set up a separate email at some point, but for now I don't get any messages on YouTube, so YouTube's fine. Alright, thank you very much. I'm out of here.